Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Welcome to the show. Thank you. Welcome. Today we'll be talking about passion and the importance of following your dreams. Many people ask me about the keys to success, and I have to say that one of the biggest keys is to figure out what you're the most passionate about and then find people that are successful in that field, using them as a model or mentor. This saves a lot of time in one's career. Today we'll be looking in on a rare interview with someone who lives his life by following his passions. Renowned actor, choreographer, producer, and director, David Winters is on the show. What an amazing guy. He's had such an amazing career. During his illustrious career, David has worked with countless show business icons, from Paul Newman to Barbra Streisand to Michael Jackson and Elvis. You'll be amazed by the stories he shares and the life he's led. Stick with us. We have an amazing show. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Many people remember my guest tonight, David Winters, from his world-renowned work as a choreographer or as one of the lead roles in the classic 1961 film West Side Story, starring Natalie Wood. It's been over 50 years, if you can believe that, and David just wrapped his latest film, East Side Story, which is due out next year. I had a chance to catch up with David briefly and discuss his passions along with his life and long career. Let's take a look at it now with me and director David Winters. Well, David, thank you so much for taking a few minutes out of your busy schedule to be able to sit down with us. And obviously, you've had such a far-reaching career in show business. Everything from, of course, acting, directing, choreography. But tell us a little bit about where you're from and how it all started.
I'm from London, England. I was born in London, England, and came to America as a very young boy. We actually came to Canada first, then came to America, and just always knew that I had to be a dancer. My mom, who was a dancer from when she was 15 till she was 88, when she passed away, she said I used to dance when I was 2 years old. And she never taught me anything. She said, David, you danced when you were 2 years old, and your talent is God-given, basically. But I went and auditioned as a boy actor, got lots of jobs in New York, did 150 television shows as an actor by the time I was 17. Wow. And then I got West Side Story, the Broadway show, and that changed my life.
Well, and obviously it was such a huge, even to this day, such a huge iconic film. And I mean, what was it like being 17, you get this role now in West Side Story. I mean, how did it really affect your life? Did you know when you got this role, I'm on my way now?
Yes, we all knew that it was something very special and very unique, a very unique production. The idea of doing a musical about two gangs based on Shakespeare with the kind of talent, Jerome Robbins, Leonard Bernstein. Stephen Sondheim was a young man at the time. Right. You know, Arthur Lawrence. Well, we knew that it was something very special. What we didn't know is what the reception would be. We didn't know how the audiences would take to it. But of course, the music was sensational. The dancing was even more sensational. And it was a smash hit. And we all knew that it was great to be part of something that was so iconic. Magical. It was magical.
Well, and we talked a little bit backstage. We were talking about Natalie Wood. And my mother growing up, everybody likened her to Natalie Wood. And she'd go out, people would buy her drinks because they looked very much alike. And because of that, we've become, even as a child, big Natalie Wood fans. What was it like working with her?
She was a doll. She was a big star. You know, even she started when she was a little girl, you know, very, very young girl. But nothing changed her. Natalie was just Nat. We called her Nat. And she was a sweetie. She was so humble, very, very humble, and just a real lovely, lovely person. Lovely, lovely person.
And I know you guys would even get together, sing together. Of course, you knew her husband, Robert Wagner.
Robert Wagner, lovely guy, terrific guy, yes. And we would sometimes meet in Las Vegas and sit around the piano and sing songs from West Side Story at the Mirage Hotel. Yeah.
And, you know, obviously you've had this amazing acting career, producing and you know, choreography and everything. But I have to say, me and my wife, we're huge Simon and Garfunkel fans, and we love Paul Simon.
Right.
And I know that you did, at a period of time, you did work with him as a duet.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about what that was like.
Well, Paul had an act with Artie Garfunkel called Tom and Jerry. And they had one hit in New York City, Hey Schoolgirl in the Second Row, Teacher's Looking Over, so you got to whisper way down low. I can't believe I still remember the lyrics. Anyhow, so they split up, and Paul and I got together, and we formed a group when I was in West Side Story called David Winters and the West Siders. And Paul wrote some songs with me. We wrote songs together, and we recorded them. Teddy Randazzo, who was a big movie star at the time, was our producer. So anyhow, we did these crazy songs. We wrote songs like Sloppy Lizzie from the Black Lagoon, just weird teenage kind of commercial stuff. And then nothing happened with it, really. We went and did some shows, and we did some recordings, and you know, was signed for a recording contract and stuff. But
I got to
really
get my hands on some of that early stuff.
It's on the internet. You can find it on the internet to this day. But anyhow, so then Paul left and went to Europe, where Artie was. They got together, and unbeknownst to me, I was doing a show called Hullabaloo at the time. And I walked into rehearsal one day, and I hear someone say, David, and I turned around, and it's Paul, and it's Artie. And I said, what are you guys doing here?
Right.
They said, we're on the show. I said, you're on this show? What group are you with? And they said, Simon and Garfunkel. And I went, oh my God, I never put the two things together. I just saw there was a Simon and Garfunkel act. I didn't realize it was Paul and Artie. And they said they went to Europe. They started to write things from the heart, not things that were commercial. And a DJ in Germany took one of their songs. It was either Bridge Over Troubled Water or one of those kind of songs, and played it. It became a regional hit. Then it became a European hit. And then it became an American hit. And so that's when they were on that.
Do you still keep in touch at all?
I haven't seen them in a long, long time.
Yeah.
But, you know, they had this concert in London at Hyde Park. 1 million people showed up.
Wow.
1 million people showed up.
What an influence he's had.
Yeah, fantastic. Really.
And at a point, obviously, you came more away from the acting to focus more on your choreography and producing and directing.
Yes.
What prompted that shift to really...
I always wanted to do that, actually, when I was an actor.
That was your first love?
Yes. All the other actors would go and take breaks for lunch. I didn't take a lunch break. I used to sit in the booth, and I used to say to my mom, Mom, she said, I know it's lunchtime. I want to watch the director. I want to watch what the producer does. I want to watch what the writer does. So I was watching and learning all the time. And I would just sit in the back of the control booth, and just watch what everybody did, you know?
Well, and I hear today on so many interviews where you'll hear these actors, and they'll say, well, what was it like? You know, it's just a job like anything else. I just do this for a job. And I don't like hearing that, because it's not a passion. And for people that are passionate about what they do, such as yourself, we know that it's, you know, it's not a job. It's what you do. In your spare time, you're researching.
It's your life.
It's your life.
It's your life. My work is my life. That's the truth.
Well, and you've certainly had a great life. Your immense career in television, of course, as a choreographer, you worked with many, many amazing people.
Yes.
But you did choreograph 4 Elvis movies. What was it like working with Elvis, and just generally being in Hollywood at that time was just such an iconic time?
He gave me my first break, basically, when he approved me for Viva Las Vegas. That was my first movie with Elvis. And from then, I never really stopped working, to tell you the truth, because I was Anne's choreographer, Anne Margaret, and she actually got me that job.
Yeah.
She's a wonderful person. She got me that job, and I was probably the only one who knew about the romance at the time, because nobody knew about their romance, which was you know, kind of kept very secretive. And then I did Girl Happy with him. I did Tickle Me, and I did Easy Come, Easy Go with Elvis. I would like to talk to you about Michael Jackson, because I spent some time, I did all of Dinah Ross's shows for 3 years. I did all of her stage shows, her television specials. And Michael came on, and she said to me, David, this is Michael Jackson. So I went to put my hand out. So Michael said, no, 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 I know you. I said, Michael, we've never met. I'm sure if I met Michael Jackson, I would remember. So he went like this. So I knew West Side Story, of course.
Yes.
He said, David, I watch you every week. It's my favorite movie.
Wow.
I know you. Don't worry about it. So he and I clicked, and we became friends till he died. But I want to tell you that I spent a week with him in Romania on tour with him.
With Michael?
With Michael, just as a friend. And also in Holland, I spent a week with him. I saw Michael give away, literally, $10 million to children's charities.
Wow.
In 1 week when I was with him, anonymously. Anonymously. That's really giving.
That's the difference.
It didn't say given by Michael Jackson.
Sure, publicity stunt.
Exactly. He made sure, we used to go to the hospitals every day. We go to 2 hospitals a day. When we get to the new city, he would walk along the floor to the kids, sign all the autographs, take all the pictures. They were stunned.
Right.
They didn't even know he was coming. And he went to the incurable disease for children, the section for the incurable, the children that had incurable diseases. And he made their lives better. And he went to the nurse. We would walk away from the main people in the hospital. He'd say, what can help these kids live longer? What can make their lives better? Tell me what you need. And the secretary with us would write down. Now, he did this every day, and he had a show at night, 2 shows at night. And he didn't even check into the hotel yet.
Wow.
So we check into the hotel at 3 o'clock. At 4:30, he has to leave to go to do the show. Okay? So we finally check in. The first thing he does is he gets on the telephone, gets his people, wherever they were,
Sure.
and says, take this order and make sure you buy it and do not tell anybody who bought it.
Wow, that is really giving.
$10 million in 1 week, I saw
Well, and
him
today
do it.
you see so many people give, and it's very strategic.
Yes.
What,
Yes.
they're giving
This is
to
not-
and all that.
yes.
But
No.
well, and there's actually an actor, dancer that lives in the area that we've had on our show as well. And everybody I've ever spoken with that's met Michael that just says that he was such a genuine, soft-spoken person that just had a real sincere
Yes.
interest in the person he was
Absolutely.
talking to.
Yes.
I recently saw a documentary on him and that said that when he would dance, a lot of the professional dancers were there, his choreographers, and within just a couple of days, he was making it his own. He was even teaching them. He was such a great dancer with a natural ability.
With a natural-
Was Elvis much like that, or?
Not really, no. Elvis had his own style and his own movement.
Yeah.
And so it was a matter of finding things that worked for Elvis.
Sure.
Elvis was really a singer,
Yeah.
a real singer, a fantastic singer. And also a very beautiful person, by the way. Very down to earth, very simple, the most humble person I ever met in my life.
Wow.
Elvis Presley, absolutely humble. But in terms of the dancing, because Annie, like on the first picture, Anne Margaret was a dancer, and I had
Sure.
taught her, so I had certain moves that I wanted to do, but when I gave them to Elvis, it was a little awkward for him. So I had to adjust them. I had to always adjust things for Elvis.
Make him look like he could actually keep up with that, being a professional.
Yeah, and it worked fine in the movies,
sure.
and obviously I became his choreographer, and we made four pictures together, and we became great buddies.
Well, and I know others have said the same thing about Elvis being such a humble person. I know Kurt Russell, he said that really affected his career, meeting him on a young set. I don't remember the movie. And he had a short interaction with Elvis, and that really, he said, that's it, I know what I want to do.
Yeah.
Based on that
Yeah,
interaction.
he was a lovely, lovely. He was also very giving. If you said you liked something, he'd give you the keys to his car, you know? I once told him I liked the ring. He gave me the ring. I said, Elvis, I don't want the ring. I'm just telling you I like it. He said, no, no, no. You like it, it's yours, David. And he made me take it.
Well, and you've been a part of so many things, and obviously so many productions. I think I read, if it's correct, over 400 television,
Yes.
over 50 films
Yes.
that you've produced or directed.
Yes.
And through all of that, how has the business of making movies and film and TV changed over the years? Obviously, you've been a part of it for many decades, but has it changed much?
It's changed in the sense that technically it's much easier now. Almost anybody can make a film today with the cameras
Yeah.
we have, the digital cameras. They're this big. In fact, I made a movie that just won Sundance last year, and it won France. It's a picture I co-star in. It's not my movie. I'm just an actor in it. But when I went on the set, and they had these little cameras, I said, are we shooting these pictures in stills? What are we doing? Because they had these little still cameras. They said, David, this is what the technology
camera,
today.
yeah.
This is the camera. I said, what?
Yeah.
So, and that's what we're using now in
Yeah.
East Side Story. We're using these tiny little digital cameras,
That's right.
and they're fantastic.
Well,
They don't need a lot of light, you know. So the whole process now, the cranes, we don't have the big cranes we used to have. The years ago when we had those Mitchell 35
Sure.
cameras, they were this big. I mean, they were huge.
To ship them ahead of time.
To ship them anywhere was a nightmare. A nightmare.
Well,
And very
because of the
expensive.
advances of technology, like you said, anybody can make a movie, but unfortunately, not everybody's supposed to be. And, you know, I think that it's been good for the market, but also bad because there's so much stuff out there now. There's
Yes,
really a
there
sea
is
of
a
work
lot.
that you have to
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
really navigate through to find
Yeah.
quality work.
Yeah.
But you're one of the guys that's supposed to be doing it, obviously, and you've been doing it right for many years.
Thank you.
We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, I want to talk to you a little bit about a picture I found on the internet with you and Paul Newman.
Sure.
And find out what in the world was going on there. But don't touch that dial. We'll be right back. More with David Winters when we come back. One of the stories that David Winters shared with me off camera was of his very close and personal friendship with James Dean. Dean had a very profound effect and influence over David's career. And if you look back at some of David's earlier work, you can see this even in his appearance. In fact, once Dean actually recommended his favorite book, The Little Prince, by French author Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, which became one of David Winters' favorites also. To this day, when David revisits that body of work, he's nearly brought the tears in remembrance of his dear friend. Now let's get back to the interview with me and director David Winters. So I have to ask you about this picture I found on the internet with you and Paul Newman sitting here, and I have to say that jacket is amazing. But tell us a little bit about what was going on here.
Well, I was making a movie with Paul Newman, a racing movie called Once Upon a Wheel.
Yep.
And during the movie, I was filming Paul as a spectator in watching the races. You know, he's a huge fan of racing. And in fact, Paul and I, we bought 2 racing cars together. And so he and I used to I used to rent a Learjet, and we'd fly into a city, and then we'd take a helicopter, and we'd land right in the pits. And everybody would go,
Yeah.
because they were shocked. These are all drivers, you know, drivers and grease monkeys, basically,
right.
you know, guys that do the mechanics and stuff. And so to see Paul Newman in the pits was like, you know, blew everybody away. So it was fun. We had a great time, actually.
Well, and I'll tell you, I'm an old movie buff myself, and when I think back to some of the greats, Paul Newman is certainly one that comes to mind.
Yes.
In fact, recently I watched for probably the 10th time Somebody Up There Likes Me with him and Sal Mineo, which I know you guys were
very close friends.
best friends
Yes.
years ago. In fact, I also had read that you had an incident with Sal Mineo's car back when you were maybe filming West Side Story. Is that around the time?
It was just when I came to Hollywood, yeah. Sal Mineo and I were, first of all, let me say Paul was a real gentleman.
Yeah, he's
a thorough gentleman, an amazing guy. And so is Joanna, his wife.
Yes.
Who just recently
Well, and married
passed
for
away.
just
Yes. Yeah, beautiful marriage too.
Yes.
Beautiful. Anyhow, so Sal was my best friend in school. We went to large professional school, both being actors. He on Broadway and The King and I, and me doing my television, also Broadway. And when I went to Hollywood to do West Side Story, he said, come stay at my house, which is up in the Hollywood Hills.
Right.
So I stayed at his house, and I didn't have a car. My car was in New York. I had a little Corvette in New York. And he had a little Thunderbird. So I said, I just need to go do something. So he said, fine, take the car. So I'm going down the hill, and I try to put the brake on, and the brake doesn't work. And I crash through a wall, and I'm hanging. My car, his car, is hanging by the back 2 wheels, and it's
Ready to
going
go
like
down the
this,
cliff.
you know, like I'm on a swing or something. And the woman who owns the house comes out and says, oh, you've ruined my garden. You've ruined my garden. I said, honey, I'm trying to live. You know, I may die in this
about to
thing.
die here.
Yeah, exactly. She was worried about a garden. Anyhow, everything was okay.
Wow.
The problem was I had to call Sal and tell him I smashed up his car, of course, yeah.
Well, he was such a great talent. And obviously,
He
you've
was
worked with
wonderful.
so many icons, as we mentioned, Paul Newman. I know you've done work with, you know, Kirk Douglas and Barbra Streisand. Is there a specific story or moment that you know, really is a highlight for you, or something that you can recall to mind of just saying, like, you know, this is really even surreal for me? Give me a good Hollywood story.
Jeez, I got so
David.
many of them,
I
man.
can imagine.
I'm going to write a book. You can read my book. No.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you, Barbra Streisand, I know since she's 18 years old. And Barbara was actually an actress, but she couldn't get a job, so she became a singer. It's a true story.
Fortunately for all of us.
With that voice, can you imagine? She wasn't actually planning on singing.
Right.
She was planning on being an actress, you know. So I love her dearly. She is the most humble human being. You know something? I find that all the greats that I've worked with are very, very humble.
Yes.
It's the people either coming up or, I don't know, that are kind of in the middle there. Different situation.
Yeah.
Different.
And what an actress.
Fantastic.
Well.
And a director, too. Anna, I did A Star Is Born with her, you know?
Yeah. Oh,
and
yeah,
so I had the
I know.
pleasure. I used to go to her house every day, and I'd sit in a chair similar to this, but all in white, because her whole house is white. And she'd stand there, and she'd sing to me all day long and say, well, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? And I used to say, thank you, God.
I think I did something very right.
This was in, I don't know even what year it was, in the 60s or something, 70s. She was paying me $12,500 a week to sit in a chair, and my job was to listen to Barbra Streisand.
Oh, my gosh.
And tell her my thoughts, what I thought. So
Wow.
what a job, you know? It's an incredible job.
Wow. Well, you've certainly lived an amazing life, and you're still doing so. I have to ask, many people on the show, they know I'm an avid Christopher Walken fan.
Yes.
And I know that we were talking about it earlier, and you have an actual Christopher Walken story. But would you mind relaying it real quick?
Sure. Christopher and I and Elliot Gould were all in the same dance class, tap dance class. We all started as hoofers when we were 13 years of age. So I know Christopher from way, way back. But he asked me if he could have my West Side Story jacket. So I gave it to him, and I've never gotten it back.
Yeah.
And I asked him
So he borrowed
for
a
it back.
jacket.
He borrowed my jacket. He stole it, basically.
Yep.
Chris, please send back the jacket. You know, yeah. He's got my jacket. I'm sure he still has it to this day. I'd love to get it back because, God, you know, it's just...
Well, if I have the pleasure of meeting him again, I'm going to ask
Please.
him about it, and he'll probably say, like, it's my jacket. Tell Dave.
Yeah.
But,
no, he's a lovely guy. He's lovely. And he's a wonderful dancer. Oh, Chris is a great dancer. He was in Pennies from Heaven. He was terrific in that movie. Yeah, Chris is an extremely talented gentleman.
Let's talk a little bit about, briefly, what you're doing now. I know that you're still out there doing, you know, a million miles an hour. You're still putting out these incredible bodies of work, but you're working on something very special right now.
This is very special to me. It's called East Side Story. East Side Story actually was the original name of the movie that many people have seen, the 110 Academy Awards, called West Side Story. East Side Story is based on Romeo and Juliet. It's based on lovers from different backgrounds. And the one thing that they have in common is dance in my movie.
Right.
And that's what brings them together. That's what keeps them together. And I'm using all the dancers in my movie are winners and runner-ups from the TV show So You Think You Can Dance.
Wow.
Yeah, and they're fantastic dancers. These kids are wonderful, amazing dancers. My choreographer is also one of them. So I have 9 kids in my movie, all fantastic dancers, and wonderful actors and actresses too, by the way. They're terrific in the picture, and we're shooting right now. We shot for 7 weeks. We have 2 more weeks of shooting, and we're also editing the picture at the same time.
Oh.
The picture will be finished probably November, and I hope everybody goes and sees it. It's called East Side Story.
East Side Story, everybody. And actually, the anniversary for West Side Story, is it the
50th anniversary?
50th anniversary.
Was actually, I think, last year.
Wow.
Yeah. And we also have 4 Grammy Award-winning writers who've written the soundtrack to our picture, including one, David Foster, who just got a star on the, he has 16 Grammys, 47 or 48 nominations.
Wow.
3 Academy Award nominations, and he's won the Emmy and the Golden Globe.
Well,
So we have an incredible amount of talent in this picture.
Well, and all that's not by accident. I can see why all these great people still want to come together and have a chance to work with you and learn from you. And we're certainly excited to see East Side Story coming out next year.
Yes.
And I know I'll be one of the first ones to pick up a ticket. And David, it's such a pleasure sitting with you.
Thank you
so much. This is
so
a real
much, Dan.
treat for me. I
Me
love
too, man.
Hollywood. I love
Thank you.
real dialogue and real acting. And certainly you've done it all, and you've had an amazing career, and we wish you the best moving forward.
Thank you so much. Nice to be here.
Well, thank you very much. That's our show. We're out of time, and We want to give a special thanks to David Winters. And also, don't forget to get involved in your local community and be forgiving of others. Good night, everybody. Hi, I'm Dan Vega, and thank you for watching our channel. I want to take a second to tell you about a resource that's helping thousands of people across the country, Blue University. Blue University is the premier online business school for entrepreneurs and business leaders. You know, if you find yourself in a day-to-day grind where you've lost your joy or you're just tired of struggling, then check out blue.university. That's BLU.university. I can promise that you receive nothing short of a multi-million-dollar education. And if you want a completely different life in 3 to 6 months and a way to create wealth in 5 years or less, then again, check it out. That's BLU.university. Find out why blue is the new color of success. Also, make sure to subscribe to this channel or to give us a good rating, but that's only if you see value. And when you do receive value, make sure to share it with someone else. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.